Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss to you about learner-centered teaching methods. So the methods that we are going to discuss to you can help you as a teacher to handle your students better and to give different learning activities that will cover or will cater their needs and interests when learning. So there are three methods that we are going to discuss to you today. First is the active learning activities, second, cooperative learning activities, and the last one is the inquiry and inductive learning activities. So let us start with active learning activities handled by Miss Nima Lasco. Mrs.
Okay. Good morning. So I'll be taking up active learning activities. Okay. During the early part of the second decade of the 21st century, changes were happening in the educational system of the Philippines. RA 10533, also known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, was made into law. In Section 2 of RA 10533, it is stated that the state shall make education as learner-oriented. So in the advent of the student-centered learning comes active learning. The shift on the focus of learning from the teacher to the student is based on the constructivism theory of Piaget, wherein it emphasizes that the learners construct or build their own knowledge and understanding of new materials based on previous ideas and experiences. So how can a teacher utilize this theory in her classroom? The answer to that is through the use of active learning activities. Active learning activities refer to any learning activity wherein the student participates or interacts with the learning process. With these activities, the students are seen as so much engaged, collecting data and manipulating materials to support or come up with a conclusion or an acceptable output. The focus of this method is the construction of knowledge by the learner rather than the transmission of knowledge from a source such as a teacher. Examples of these active learning activities are, all right, okay. We have the jigsaw puzzle. This is a technique that involves cooperative learning, wherein the emphasis is on the individual accountability and achievement of a group goals. Another one is the question and answer session. This refers to the time allotted for use where questions are asked and answered. It could be brief as an introduction to a presentation or as or to us or unit to assess prior knowledge, or it could be lengthy as been done after a presentation to assess for knowledge acquired. For it to be like an active learning experience, an open-ended questions has to be asked. This would challenge the person being asked to think and explain what he is thinking about the question. Another activity experiment. This involves like a collection of data, analysis of data, and come up with a conclusion. So it, so it so enhance the critical thinking of the learner. Another is discovery. This is another way of inquiry-based learning, where wherein it involves interaction with the environment by exploring and manipulating objects, facing and answering questions, or performing experiments. So what are the benefits of active learning activities? They develop collaborative skills because usually they are done by groups. They encourage risk taking because they have to think deeper into the problems given. They increase more engagement and improve critical thinking. They also promote um, increased retention of the materials since because they are dealing with it firsthand. They promote problem solving skills, and they give students more autonomy of their learning, and they help students to learn how to learn. So what are the roles of the teacher in active learning activities? There are, I could cite three roles of the teacher. One is motivator. As a motivator, this is usually done while the teacher used to has to design her own material on you need to what you need to take up in the class. As a motivator, she ignites the curiosity and interest of the student about the topic. Next comes the facilitator. This happens on the course of the activity, wherein she's there to guide the students and be there as a resource person, or maybe direct them to some resources that they can use. And the third one is assessor. This is like assessment of what the student has learned. It also happens during the activity. The teacher asks some questions, and if she thinks that they are diverted far away from the core of the activity, she could subtly like redirect them back to what is the task at hand. It doesn't mean that these roles the teacher has to be, there's a fine barrier between them. No, the teacher can be a motivator while she is facilitating the activity, and she can also at the same time assess, and then the cycle would go on, and she has to do what is beneficial to the student. So in conclusion, the teacher, that in this new, or should I say, the learner-centered teaching, the teacher has like a lot of tools in her the trade of teaching. She could harness these active learning activities, and perhaps the goal of the Enhanced Education Act of 2013 might be able to, the teacher could help it like achieve. Therefore, like having these products who are poised for lifelong learning. Thank you. So, Ma'am Harriet.
Thank you, Ms. Nima. So next is we are going to discuss about cooperative learning. So what is cooperative learning? So cooperative learning is the process of breaking a classroom of students into small groups so they can discover a new concept together and help each other learn. So basically, this means that cooperative learning means that the whole class is divided into small groups to help themselves and their teammates to learn together. So the core element of cooperative learning is to showcase the positive effects of interdependence while underlining the importance of personal responsibility. So personal responsibility means that you as a group mate has to share something that will help your group to achieve a specific activity or task. So this happens naturally in cooperative learning since students work with one another, they work together, but they all have a different task to accomplish or concept to explain. As a bonus, your students are being social while they're working in cooperative learning. So in general, cooperative learning methods students share the following 5 characteristics. First one is students work together on common tasks or learning activities that are best handled through group work. So there are activities that can't be handled only by one person. So this cooperative learning can help your students to work one another to achieve a common task through group work. So second, students work together in small groups containing 2 to 5 members. Next, students use cooperative or pro-social behavior to accomplish their common task or learning activities. So they have to be as interactive as they can to help or to cooperate with their group. The fourth one, students are positively interdependent. Activities are structured so that students need each other to accomplish their common task or learning activities. So these cooperative learning activities are designed only for group works from 2 to 4 members, 2 to 5 members rather. The fifth one, students are individually accountable or responsible for their work or learning. So the teacher bases uh, kanang the way how the group handle their task. So, as the teacher, this is where you fit into the cooperative learning experience. You're not directly teaching when cooperative learning occurs because you are basing the performance of the group. The so instead, you're ensuring groups of students to stay on task. So some children experience more challenges than others when they enter school environments. So cooperative learning strategies have been developed to help children overcome educational barriers by improving skills in their social emotional learning. So cooperative learning, which includes play and activities, are best practice intervention strategy to improve engagement and accessibility to academic goals to benefit them in later life. So this is just basic practice for your students to be able to kanang practice their social emotional skills. So we are going to work in the future. We are going to manang makasalamuha sa ubang tao. So we have to practice interacting with other people. So these cooperative learning activities can help your students to boost their social and emotional skills. Next, why is cooperative learning needed? So let's read this quote or a saying from Ashley Montago. Without the cooperation of its members, society cannot survive, and the society of man has survived because the cooperativeness of its members made survival possible. It was not an advantageous individual here and there who did so, but the group, the whole group. In human societies, the individuals who are most likely to survive are those who are best enabled to do so by their group. So it is up to the members to survive, to help them, help one another to survive and accomplish a task. So it is not just one member, it is not just 2 members, but the whole group work together, and the society of man has survived because of the cooperativeness of its members that made survival possible, that made a task to be accomplished successfully be possible. Next is, wait. So how does cooperative learning be effective? So cooperative learning is an effective way for students to learn and process information quickly with the help of each members. The goal of using this strategy is for students to work together to achieve a common goal. So it is essential that each student understands their cooperative learning group role. So in order for students to accomplish their task, each individual must communicate and work collectively. So use the talking tip strategy to control noise. So here are a few of the expected behaviors and duties each student is responsible for. So these are the expected behaviors within the group. So as a member, you are expected to contribute to the task, of course. Next, you have to listen to others within the group. So we have different ideas, and those ideas, if you collect them all together, you can have a successful task and you can accomplish your activity successfully. Next is you encourage group members to participate. So we have the leader, or as a member, you also have to encourage other group members to help your group. Okay. Next, praise good ideas. Of course, you have to praise good for your group to maintain that friendly, or you are feel you will feel welcome to the group, and you will show that your member has the idea that you are needing for the activity. So ask for help when needed. So this is the same to encourage group members to participate. Next, check for understanding, and lastly, stay on task. So dili na magpaligoy-ligoy, walay mga tabi. You have to stay on task for the group to accomplish the task kanang before the deadline or the time. Next, how does cooperative learning be effective? So these are we are going to discuss the responsibilities as a member. You have the responsibility. Next, you have to try. You have to try asking questions para makahelp ka sa imuhang group. Next, you have to be present. Of course, you have to be present for you to be guided sa activity nga inyong buhaton. Next, you have to ask. Next, to be polite. Of course, it's basic skill. You have to be polite to your members. Next, you have to listen. So in the recent slide, you have to listen to your group, to their ideas, not just your idea, but the other, your group members' ideas. Next, you have to praise, and then to help. Of course, you have to help as a group member. So next. So there are also, it is not just a group work just based on how the students perform their task, but also there are also the role of the teacher in cooperative learning. First is the designer of cooperative learning situations. So you have to plan what activities is suitable for this class. You have to think of what can be in a learner-centered classroom. You, as a teacher, you have to know what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of your students, their needs and interests. Next, the behavior model. Of course, you have to be the model of the class. You have to maintain the good character as a teacher. Next, learning consultant. So if there are questions that the students will ask, you have you as a teacher, as your role as a teacher, you have to you have to answer the queries or the kanang questions nga gi kuan sa imuhang students. Next is the moderator. So you have to don't kanang wait wala. As the moderator, dili kani nga group ra imuhang gi-focus, but all groups you have to be balanced with your kanang pananaw nimo sa students. Next, there are aside from those positive nga makuha nimo sa cooperative learning activities, there are also disadvantages, of course. First is time consuming. So time consuming siya, it's because you are kanang maghulat ka, you have to wait for the group, all groups, to finish their task. Next, conflicts might occur. So there are, we can't avoid conflicts because we have different ideas. Some are close-minded students nga don't kanang adaaning kanang dili sila pa share sa ilahang kanang ideas, kailangan ilahang ideas masunod, so conflicts might occur. Next is it creates a system of dependency. So some students might depend to their to other members, to the members of kanang their group. So they will just kanang bahala na sila kanang kalagmitan kay magsalig ta sa mga bright. So kanang katong mga intelligent students, sila ray pagamon ana nila, so there it creates a system of dependency. Next is it creates a grading system which could be considered unfair. So as a role as a teacher, balik ta sa teacher, role sa teacher, you have to be the moderator. You don't show favoritism sa students. So I think this is the last slide. Wait, not there. So here are the examples of cooperative learning activities. We have here the think, pair, and share. So we have so nakagama naman ta ani sa first week or second week sa ato ang learner-centered course, this subject. So think, pair, and share, also called turn and talk. Teacher possess a question to the group, and each student has a minute or two to think about the question. So think, pair, and share is very familiar, and I don't think na I have to explain it to you more. So what is the use of think, pair, and share? This is a useful cooperative learning strategy because it engages all students in their learning, and it can be done quickly during almost any lesson. So quickly siya kay by pair man siya, dali rang maka-exchange og information ang pair. Next is the tea party. This one. This in the courser that I am on, tea party. So the use of this strategy is not only is allows for all students to get a chance and share with another student, but additionally it allows for students to work together to come up with a solution. If a student isn't talking, sharing, or discussing, then they are losing valuable learning time. It is important for the teacher to be circulating to ensure that engaging conversations are occurring and prompting those who need extra support. So, in this tea party, ang lesson nga makuha ani niya is you are responsible for your own learning. As a group and as a member of the group, you are responsible for your task, and the teacher will just facilitate your koan. Will just check if to ensure that you are engaging conversations, you are sharing your ideas para kabalo siya if need ba og extra support ang inyong group, if kailangan bang i-consult ang inyong learning. Ana dito dinha mo kuan ang role sa teacher. Next is the carousel. So the use of this activity, carousel, is it causes students to work together in their groups, but also within the whole class. Students have to ensure they are reading what other students wrote and coming up with new ideas rather than copying what is already there. So basically, carousel is a strategy that is very useful to that students will work together, not just in their groups, but as a whole class. So kuan naman ta og carousel, right? Like naay usa ka member nga mobalhin sa laing member, then lain na pong member pabalhinon sa laing member. So it is up to the teacher kung kinsa nga member ang kuan. So this is where cooperative learning nga kailangan maminaw tanan nga member, tanan nga students sa information. So I think that is the end of my cooperative learning activities. So basically, in general, cooperative learning is so basically, cooperative learning is you as a teacher will divide the class into small groups to learn with one another and to help them, to help each other. I also to practice them to be responsible on their own learning and also to practice their social and emotional skills. So I think that is all about cooperative learning activities. And I will give the screen or the stage to Miss Joanna to further discuss what is inquiry and inductive based learning.
So, hi everyone. So to continue the discussion, I will discuss about what is inquiry-based learning. So inquiry-based learning is an approach to learning that emphasizes the student's role in the learning process. Rather than the teacher telling students what they need to know, students are encouraged to explore the materials, ask questions, and share ideas. So inquiry-based learning uses different approaches to learning, including small group discussion, and guided learning. Instead of memorizing facts and materials, students learn by doing. This is to allow them to build knowledge through exploration, experience, and discussion. So basically, inquiry-based learning, it's all about learning by doing. So it is very important that after the discussion of the teacher, there are certain or activities are followed. So para ang students maka-explore sila and maka-experience sila hand-on-hand activity nga ilahang makuwag experience and maka-learn in that particular activity. So the question is inquiry-based learning effective? So just like experiential learning, inquiry-based learning actively engages students in the learning process. Students aren't just hearing or writing what they are learning. Instead, students get the chance to explore a topic more deeply and learn from their own first-hand experience. We retain 75% of what we do compared to 5% of what we hear and 10% of what we read. Inquiry-based learning allows students to better understand and recall material by actively engaging with it and making their own connection. So there are 7 benefits of inquiry-based learning. Next. So first is the enhances learning experience for children. So sitting in the classroom, taking notes isn't always the most effective or fun way to learn. So dapat kanang mga for example kanang mga memorizing facts inana like dili kay siya effective unless kanang like ipabuhat jud siya sa students because it helps enhances the learning process by letting students explore topic themselves. So number two, teaches skills needed for all areas of learning. So as they explore the topic, students build critical thinking and communication skills. The cognitive skills the students develop can be used to improve comprehension in every subject as well as in day-by-day life. Third is foster curiosity in students. An, an inquiry-based learning approach lets students share their own ideas and questions about topic. This helps to foster more curiosity about the material and teaches skills students can use to continue exploring topics they are interested in. So, mo to siya. Four, uh, depends students' understanding of topics. Rather than simply memorizing facts, students make their own connections about what they are learning. This allows them to gain a better understanding of a topic than they would get by just memorizing and recalling the facts. Fifth, allow students to ownership of their learning. Students have the opportunity to explore a topic, giving them more of a sense of ownership over their learning. Instead of the teacher telling them what they should know, students are able to learn in a way that works for them. Six, increases engagement with the material. As a form of active learning, this approach encourages students to fully engage in the learning process. By allowing students to explore topics, make their own connections, ask questions, that they are able to learn more effectively. And lastly, creates a love of learning. Inquiry-based learning is designed to teach students a love of learning. When students are able to engage with the materials in their own way, not only they are able to gain a deeper understanding, but they are able to develop a passion for exploration and learning. So next, what is inductive learning? Inductive learning is a powerful strategy for helping students deepen their understanding of content and develop their inference and evidence gathering skills. In an inductive learning lesson, students examine group and label specific bits of information to find patterns. So inductive reasoning is basically viewed as supplying some evidence but not full assurance of the truth of the conclusion. Next. Uh, there are three reasons for using inductive learning to address common core. First is the inference. So Marzano of 2010 identifies inference as a fundamental process that underlies higher order thinking and 21st century skills. Perhaps this is the reason why the Common Core's very first reading and core standard that requires students to make logical inferences. The inductive learning strategy shines a direct light on inference making by emphasizing the sub-process that go into examine information closely, looking for hidden, and so on. Next is the evidence. Second, evidence. Few themes got more attention in the Common Core than evidence. The English language arts standards description of college and career readiness as well as standard for mathematical practice, reading anchor standards, reading anchor standards 1 up and 9, and numerous additional grade specific standard to all students to support their thinking with higher quality. uh, quality. Mm, So, mo to siya. Next. And lastly, the academic vocabulary. Because of the inductive learning lesson are built around the words and terms, the strategy is a great way to introduce academic and domain-specific word phrases to students. But inductive learning does not more than simply introduce new vocabulary terms. It forces students to search for key attributes and relationships among words, a skill that emphasizes language anchor 5. So students use the relationship they discover to help them organize all the terms into a schema that suggests the larger structure of the learning. So that's all.
So those are the three methods that a teacher needs to practice or to share to their student to follow. Following these three methods, a teacher, I think the class will have a successful learning, and I think that just only one method, I think that the class will not be successful. But using two to three methods para ma-successful ang learning process. So again, the methods that you can follow, the teacher can follow or can use in sina, in pagtudlo sa bata is first the active learning activities, cooperative learning activities, and the inquiry and inductive learning activities. So I hope that we discussed enough information and helped you to discover what kind of learning activities is suitable for this class, for your class. That would be all. Thank you.